How do you rule the stage? Well, I've got 9 tips to help with your stage presence. Hello and welcome to another video. It's good to have you along. My name is Elmo and here on the channel I try to help you and inspire you in different ways. Today I have 9 tips to help with your stage presence. First one, film yourself. Now, I cannot stress this enough. This is really important. Whether you're actually playing live or whether you're just rehearsing, practicing playing live, film yourself. You will notice stuff. Look back at the material and film yourself again. Look back at the material, film yourself again. So after a certain amount of time you will start noticing certain developments. Some things are getting better, and then you compare this, what you are right now, with what you want to be. More on that later. But filming yourself is a great way to measure your progress and also notice what you think is wrong with how you perform. Number 2, think about your movements. Now this will be different depending on the venue, but if you want to be seen right to the back and it's a big venue, a small movement like this just ain't gonna cut it. Think about Freddie Mercury, how he ruled the stage with huge theatrical movements. I don't mean you have to be Freddie Mercury, but think about that. What can you bring into your own stage show from someone like Freddie Mercury, who undoubtedly was one of the best live performers probably ever? If you play guitar, look at someone like Yngwie Malmsteen and see what you can take from him. Look at someone like Devin Townsend and see what you can take from him. And if that isn't your bag, then look at someone who you admire and see what you can get from that person or those persons. Number 3, regardless of what type of thing you're doing, give it 100%. Absolutely 100%. There's no use in you going up on stage and performing with the handbrake on. And this again is regardless of if you're throwing the guitar around or burning it or whatever you're doing, or you're sitting down playing really mellow acoustic stuff. Put everything you have into the performance. If you play that kind of mellow acoustic stuff, that doesn't mean you have to be 100% physical, but you have to be 100% in the performance. Really, it's always better, I say, to go full speed, totally off the rails, then kind of give it 70%, because everyone will just notice 70% and realize this isn't too good. So people will be quite forgiving if you give it your all and something goes totally haywire. That's fine. That's better than kind of, I'm sorry, I'm here. Don't apologize. Unless you make that into a joke. Say, sorry, I'm here. I'm English. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm English. Sorry. Number 4 goes with the big movements. Think about your expressions. Are you good? Are you just gonna stand like this all day? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You might disagree. Or do you want to be something like this? Again, I'm not gonna say which one is better. They're equally valid ways to be on stage. I know what I prefer, but that's just my opinion. What you got to figure out as a musician, if you're a guitar player for instance, what kind of facial expressions are you going to have? And we'll get back to this a bit later, because it all comes into that one big thing that's coming after the next one, which is the next one is number 5, and it's clothing. Now I remember once playing a show where the opening act played something like this. I don't know what I was doing there, but they were playing some kind of metal stuff. And they look like regular blokes from The Office. Not the show The Office, but from an office. They looked like chartered accountants. And it was totally the wrong fit. Remember, at least that kind of music, a lot of it is theatre. And in theatre, you often have to dress appropriately. So do it. Think about your clothing. Again, you don't have to wear leather trousers if you don't want to, and boots and all that stuff. But you can, and still play lounge jazz. There's nothing wrong with that, just think about it. And here we get to number 6, which is a big one, which is where a lot of these things come together. Build yourself a persona, because you don't have to be your stage persona when you're in your regular life. You have kids or whatever. You might if you're that Batman dad. But most of us will just be regular old people with our families and friends. We won't walk about going like, I have arrived. Although you might know some people who are that way. But most often you want to build your stage persona to be something different from what you are when you're in your regular life. That being said, I mean, Yngwie Malmsteen, according to all reports, is pretty much the same off stage as on stage. So what do I know? And while we're on the subject of Mr. Malmsteen, I seem to remember him saying that if you want music, buy a CD, back in the day when CDs were a thing, but if you want to go watch a live show, expect entertainment, because it's a different thing. Although music, entertainment, well, yeah, let's not get bogged down into that. I think what he was meaning was pretty much clear. You're going to get a much more polished thing when you're listening to the actual music on vinyl, CD, cassette, or streamed. And when you're watching a live thing, it's going to be less polished. Less polished. So for him, it was more of an entertainment thing when playing live, and still is. And he's not too fussed about playing accurately, because that's not the thing. The thing is being guitars flying around and all stuff, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to be more music oriented, fine. But think about this stuff. And when you have that stage persona, it's like something that you can lean on when things are going poorly. I remember having my amp blowing up and I didn't have a spare. It was one of these amps. They've been super reliable, but one time one of them blew up and I had to borrow a real high gain monster, and I hated the sound. But I just stepped into that stage persona and stubbornly stayed in that, even though I hated the sound. And the gig was fine. And now I look back on it as one of my better gigs, because I got through the adversity because I had a stage persona. So I didn't have to feel like, hey, it's me. I could just step into a role. And I could be playing a banjo. And of course it would have made a difference, but still. The stage persona, it helps. Number 7, emotion. This goes back to the stage persona. What I mean by this is fit your movements to what you're doing. Kind of touched upon this already, but I have an example of, I'm not going to name the YouTuber because he does his thing great, but he had one episode on YouTube, or a video on YouTube, where he explored weird and wacky guitar techniques that were fun. But he said it like, today we're going to explore weird and wacky guitar techniques. Now that might be his idea of this is a fun thing. For me, I was like, there was such a big disconnect between the fun, the weird and wacky, and his kind of hello and welcome to another video with me. Today we're going to have fun. There's a disconnect there, for me. Again, something you have to think about and goes back to persona. If you're playing blues, you need to have emotion, and you can get that emotion absolutely destroyed by playing on the beat all the time. Everything is precise. You can get that emotion totally ruined by just the wrong expressions. My baby left me. I didn't know what to do. Although again, that might work if it's built into your persona. A good example of this is Devin Townsend, who does not, or who often does not fit the emotional kind of. He's very funny on stage, and he's almost like a stand-up comedian, and the music he plays is really aggressive, but he takes liberties, does things that you would not expect. So you might want to fit your expressions and all of that into the music. You might actually want to take steps out. So we're a really angry band, and then suddenly you crack jokes and you laugh. Might be a breath of fresh air in a Norwegian black metal band. What do I know? Number 8. Set yourself a goal. Try to have a vision of what it is you want to be. And this ties right back to number 1, which was film yourself. Because when you have that goal, let's say you want to be something along the lines of Freddie Mercury, Devin Townsend, but you play the piano. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but that's some kind of goal. And it's not too vague. It's like, I want to play the piano and be the best live performer ever, because that could mean anything. That's at least some sort of goal to navigate by. And then you film yourself, and then you can correct certain things, take steps in the right direction. And at some point you might realize, this is not for me, and then you get a different goal. But it all helps you move in some sort of direction instead of just aimlessly wandering around. And it's the same with playing an instrument. Goals, measuring progress. And then we get to the last one. Go and play live. That's the best practice there is for playing live. And film those live shows if it's all possible. Don't fear mistakes. You will learn from your mistakes. I mean, this channel was so horrible back in the beginning when I first made this video that I had to remake it. But I've learned so much from watching those old videos that I did. And this is also kind of live performance, even though it's not live, but it's still performance. And nothing happens when you make mistakes. Not really. Well, some mistakes probably haunt people. But provided that you're not on the level of Lil Wayne when he plays guitar, your mistake shouldn't matter. And if you give it your all, people will be generally supportive. Most people won't notice your mistakes, and you'll learn from them. You will get better. And when you play live, if you give it your all, film it, think about it, practice it, you will get better. So there were quite a few different points here, stuff for you to think about. If you want to get better at guitar playing, I have a video right here how you can do that in just 15 minutes a day. Other than that, check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description. You get access to my music, lessons, and a bunch of exclusives. You can even take that stuff for free. And I hope you liked the video. Take care. See you. Bye.